Look at that.
XRP is at a critical level right now, and in this video, I want to talk about where XRP is currently trading and what it needs to do to continue its momentum to the upside. I also want to go over some brand new attacks coming at XRP. Guys, there's something pretty shocking going on right now in the background. It looks to be a coordinated FUD effort against XRP. In this video, I want to talk about that, so make sure to stick around for this whole thing. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to like these videos and subscribe to the channel.
So yeah, XRP needs to do this right now for it to change. But what is this secret thing that XRP needs to change? Now, that's a big question. Personally, I feel like XRP is right on track. But a lot of these ETF listings, you know, that people have been calling for, they need time. XRP needs a lot of time to set up properly.
These two simple things really do help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange uphold down in the description of this video. With that said, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. I want to start this video off and take a look at some of the FUD attacks recently coming after XRP. And I think it's so interesting that these FUD attacks seem to be coordinated. Now, Paul Barron is one of the first people to really point this out because he actually has a software that analyzes different levels of bot activity in regards to different cryptocurrencies.
That's what I told you guys. Something that actually he liked my comment when I told him that he's making a program like this, even for XRP. A lot of this volume that we're seeing is not real. So he literally designed a machine that's going to tell you if it's real or not, which is very important in crypto because people are selling a lot of these XRP transaction whales aren't real. Personally, I feel like they are the big deal because you can see these buys and sells at the same moment. But it isn't always has been about Bitcoiners' exit liquidity. They know how XRP is the threat. XRP falls for the XRP PSYOP and puts their purchasing power in XRP rather than Bitcoin. Well, that's not a credit to Bitcoin.
There's a lot of FUD also coming from the Bitcoin side of the world as well. I want to play you this video recently posted by Digital Asset Investor because it's going to show you how asinine a lot of these attacks against XRP really are. These attacks don't ever come with any kind of stats. They don't ever come with any kind of metrics. They don't actually come with any kind of facts that could actually tell someone, oh yeah, this is a reason why XRP is bad. Instead, they're always emotional attacks because they are scared that XRP will replace everything Bitcoin was meant to be. If you take a look at the early white paper of what Bitcoin was for, it was to be a peer-to-peer payments technology. It was to transform the way money moved. And then ultimately,
it was basically trying to overcome the problems it has today and fix that and improve it and make it cheaper to send payments. Again, it's very expensive in some countries to send payments, like $5, which is maybe someone's daily salary. It is insane. And now they're trying to improve that. That's what Ripple is trying to do.
Bitcoin failed so badly at those things, they had to change the narrative and now call it a store of value or digital gold.
So yeah, that's the issue right now when you use Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin is great. It's store of value because when you send a transfer, it's going to cost you like a much more than being used worldwide. And Ripple kind of like took that gap that we saw right now.
This is really hard for a lot of Bitcoiners to accept. The fact that XRP is still being used for its primary use case as a settlement token, a liquidity token, a network to settle value globally, cross borders or even intra-border, but creating uniform liquidity and instantaneous settlement between any form of value issued on the internet. These are the things that Bitcoin was really meant to do. And XRP was created to do be a better Bitcoin. And for all intents and purposes, it looks like it is in fact doing that. There didn't have to be a narrative switch for XRP. XRP stayed true to its goal of solving the Internet of Value problem. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has essentially given up on that mission and is now just being positioned as a store of value.
I feel like XRP has really rebranded itself as well. Like, well, it kept building, but a lot of people who didn't trust it started trusting it, including me, while Bitcoin had to rebrand itself.
Now, for a lot of people, especially in the Bitcoin community, I think this is a really hard thing to digest. But I want to play you this clip of Bitcoiners actually talking about this because I think you'll start to see how absurd their arguments against XRP really are when we break down exactly what they talk about in this video. So let's listen up and then talk about it.
Right, it's the same shit. They're just lying to people. They're creating this pyramid scheme and trying to dump their bags on people forever.
Yeah, and I would argue that if Bitcoin didn't exist, the government would shut something like this down.
Yeah.
This is illegal counterfeiting. I actually think that the reason that Gary Gensler hasn't gone after all of these cryptocurrencies, I mean, if he would have said a couple of years ago, hey, these are all unregistered
Wasn't there like a $500 million lawsuit for XRP anyway?
securities, we're going to go after every single one of them. I don't care if it takes the government 100 years. What would happen? Everything would go into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then maybe you have a few idiots that are like, oh, we're going to take it over and it's going to rip. But it's, I think it's a psyop. I think that there's really important people who understand that the game theory is playing out. You can't change the protocol. How do you stop the Bitcoin price from going through the roof?
Yeah.
You let people get wrecked buying shit like this.
Yes, which is why XRP is for retards, and it is retarded.
And evil
it's
people.
causing retardation, actually, of Bitcoin adoption. Now, it's hard
Now,
to...
this battle has been, XRP versus Bitcoin. Personally, I think both serve a different use, but a lot of Bitcoiners say, XRP left it behind and abandoned it.
say, right? You can't rerun these experiments. Would Bitcoin adoption be going on faster if there weren't all this market cap in XRP? Maybe, maybe not. But we can say that every retard that falls for the XRP psyop and puts their purchasing power in XRP rather than Bitcoin, well, that's non-accretive to Bitcoin. Although in the long run, when this thing blows up, as it inevitably will, it will trigger a stampede of people out of XRP into Bitcoin. So although it might retard Bitcoin adoption in the short run, it's likely to amplify it in the long run. This is one of those, you get into these weird scenario spaces where you realize like everything is good for Bitcoin.
I was just going to say that. And all roads lead to Bitcoin.
Yeah, you just can't avoid it.
So maybe this is a...
So as you can see there, they have a lot of...
They're not happy with XRP, but that's what I've been hearing like really 10 years. So it doesn't frustrate me that much, but I've been hearing this since XRP launched 2016. And I also feel like the more coins there are in this space, the more people, it doesn't necessarily mean they will buy Bitcoin. Like the people that are buying XRP right now, they're buying XRP for a reason because of the utility. They might not even know about crypto, but they want to get into the XRP hype wave of the payment transfers.
Negative things to say about XRP, but nothing actually is substantial. And what you'll notice is their arguments always come to one thing. It's, oh, this is taking attention away from Bitcoin. Oh, we need the government to get rid of these things. Oh, we need these things illegal. But they don't actually have any reason for why that should be the case. It's always an emotional argument about why XRP shouldn't exist, but at the end of the day, it's existing and continuing to succeed because it is doing things that Bitcoin can't do. And this is one of the things that these people struggle with so much. It's not that XRP shouldn't exist and it's repetitive and it's doing all the same thing Bitcoin's doing. No, in fact, it's doing a lot of things that Bitcoin can't do and might never be able to do. And because of that, the usefulness of the blockchain technology to these financial institutions, that is going to cause financial institutions and other players in the market to gravitate towards protocols that can solve their problems, and they're not going to care if it's XRP or Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency network. They just want their problem solved, and if Bitcoin can't solve those problems, the money's going to go elsewhere. This is the thing these people can't wrap their head around. They're so emotionally tied to Bitcoin, they can't see the obvious fact that Bitcoin...
Like, if there was only Bitcoin, I don't even think it would grow to 120K, because that's when a lot of people buy Bitcoin, they buy other cryptos as well, which have their own risk. But it's like an ecosystem, Like, if you only have one plant, it's not going to survive. But if you have like 20 other plants or 20 other animals, it's a little ecosystem. Like a relationship of sorts.
Bitcoin simply can't solve some of these problems. There's no tokenization. There's no market making. There's a lack of a lot of very important feature sets that the Bitcoin chain simply will never be.
If Bitcoin is like launching a video game in alpha, then XRP is like doing a beta launch. So like developing it and until you make a final product.
Be able to support. And because of that, financial institutions and people are finding use cases in other protocols. And it's not that hard to understand why that is happening. It's actually painfully obvious. But these people have to look for other crazy things to try to essentially discredit these other networks. They talk about how XRP is being dumped on retail. Well, what do you think happens when Bitcoin miners sell Bitcoin? What do you think happens when Bitcoiners in the very early days choose to take profits? They sell Bitcoin. Just like the same exact thing happens with XRP, where XRP gets sold. It's an open, free market. People are going to buy and sell these assets. But
to be fair, I think the same will happen with XRP. Some people might sell it, like might sell a fair amount, and that's completely fine, right? We kind of have to expect that. Some of the XRP got sold already.
this constant, I guess, coordinated FUD attempt to try to make all of this seem like it makes XRP useless or there's no need for XRP. The market completely disagrees. What we're seeing is more and more.
I feel like the market will really tell its value. If something is bad, the market will respond. If a whale thinks something is really bad, he will sell all the XRP. So why are whales still buying at $3? Why do you have like whales bumping it with $1-2 million buys when at $3, right? It makes total sense. Same with Bitcoin.
More people are gravitating towards XRP because the things it can do that Bitcoin will never be able to. And you just always need to understand that the reason why these people are throwing so much shade at XRP is not because there's any technical reason or any facts that you should be worried about or stuff like that. No, it's actually because XRP has become so successful and is gaining so much adoption that now they're worried that it will one day become what Bitcoin was meant to be from the start. That is why these people are so terrified. They know there's nothing they can say that's actually going to discredit or disprove XRP's usefulness. The only thing they can do is try to scare people and FUD people with things that don't matter. With that said, though, I want to move into the XRP price chart.
It kind of makes total sense. Like, we have been seeing this for 10 years, and when you see it for like the 5th year, people calling the same, it is not that threatening anymore. And a lot of these people who hated XRP started to understand its value.
Now it's acting like a long-term support, and we're seeing XRP really playing with this line right now. Now, if we're to draw another line on top of this, we can see XRP is also stuck under a descending resistance. So we've got the support here at the $2.80 mark, and we have this resistance coming down. This looks like we'll probably have a break out of this current trading zone at some time in September. Now, coincidentally, I also think that's when you're going to start to see a lot of these XRP ETFs get over the finish line. So I think those are going to provide a very positive catalyst for XRP ultimately to break to the.
Now, this ETF is going to be a game changer for XRP. That's what's really pushing XRP to higher prices.
Upside. But it looks like we've got a little bit more chop left in this range, and we really want to see this $2.80 mark hold so XRP can sustain itself above the previous all-time high. If we just zoom out here and take a quick look at a weekly chart or a monthly chart, we can see that right now XRP is trading perfectly at that 2017-2018 all-time high. So what we really want to see is XRP to stay above here, which means holding that $2.80 mark.
Now, the issue is it already dropped below $2.80 mark, and it invalidated my theory. So what we're going to see next is I'm just going to say if it drops anywhere below $2, we are entering a full-blown bear market. And anything above that is just a healthy range, really, until XRP bounces back up. That's my personal opinion. We could be seeing like even maybe just slightly below $2. I feel like a 30% push is not that bad as we are entering this accumulation stage for a lot of these whales.
We just outlined. So that's going to be a pretty critical spot for XRP to hold. If it does so, I think that's going to be extremely bullish for what's yet to come. And I think we have a lot of positive catalysts also pulling XRP in that upwards direction. It's just,
I mean, as long as the whales keep that momentum, it should be safe from there, right?